Ok. We are now recording, and ao participar desse evento, você concede à editora autorização gratuita para o uso de sua imagem, nome, interpretação e voz, permitindo que a reunião seja gravada para posterior utilização e exibição a qualquer tempo e lugar a critério da editora. As I said, this meeting is being recorded. The purpose of this group discussion is to talk about the prep course, the TKT CLIL, lesson delivery. Welcome, Adria. I'll be mediating, so that's why I need you to participate. Miriam, welcome. And I'll be asking for volunteers. If you need to talk, you can open your mic, you can type in the chat. There are many ways for you to interact with us. Our time frame is from 5 to 6:30. In case you need to leave early or something like that, you can ask for the certificate link from your academic advisor later. At the end of the meeting, there will be a link for you to get your certificate. I'll be sending the certificates on Monday because right now I'm in a convention and I cannot do it tomorrow as usual, like we usually do. So on Monday, the certificate will be available and you'll be able to download it in your email that you register in the Google, the forms from Microsoft. Some reminders. Our next meeting is going to be on in March. So we'll have a break during December and January, of course. And then we are going to have the last meeting in March. Don't forget, you can also participate in Portuguese in here, okay? You don't actually need to speak in English. I'm gonna do it, but you are free to speak in Portuguese, okay? That's it for reminders, and let's start. Speaking about lesson delivery, we have subcategories: classroom language, scaffolding, and methods to help students learn, to help learners develop learning strategy and consolidate learning and differentiating. The candidates are tested on their knowledge of how classroom language is used in CLIL specifically. So there will be some subjects in the context of the questions, and its purpose and your abilities to match examples of a specific classroom language and their uses. You are going to also be tested on ways of encouraging student talking time. So starting with that, what's the difference between TTT and STT? Who can help me with this?
Teacher talking time and students talking time?
Sure. Can you give some examples, Miriam, on how this is done?
Perhaps the amount of time that the teacher keeps talking in class, and then the time the students talk in class. So the teacher can ask students to read the instructions. So you diminish the teaching talking time because you are providing the students with more opportunities to speak. Group work, when the teacher is not the center, the students are speaking more. So I think basically that would be it. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I loved your contribution. It's exactly what you said. When we are considering nowadays the style of teaching that the teacher is not the center of the attention and it's the student, we have to keep try to keep at a bare minimum the amount of time the teacher is talking. We want our students to speak. We want them to practice the language. Of course, they need input. It's obvious. The teacher needs to be the guide, but we need them to practice. If you consider the old times where a teacher would have 50 students in a classroom, 30, 40 students in a classroom, how could a teacher maximize student talking time? It would be impossible for the teacher to monitor all of them. But we have smaller groups. Miriam, can you share the amount of students you have per class?
It depends. If you are talking about bilingual classes, the bilingual program by Educate, we have around maximum 15 so far, in my case.
Yeah, that's great. Could anyone else share the amount of students you have in your classroom? Who else can help me?
I have around 25, 30 students in each class. Yeah, this is
Okay.
bilingual
The
program. Yeah,
English, the
yeah,
bilingual program.
English. Yeah, around 20, 30, 30, 35. Yeah, per
Wow.
class.
Hello, Alex.
Yeah, yeah, it's a hard job. Yeah, to control everybody. Yeah, but that's the number.
Good job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anna, you are going to share something. Hello, Caroline.
Yes,
Hello.
I also have a 15 students.
Ideally, would be a great amount of students, 15, right? Where the teacher could monitor everyone. But for larger groups, in case of Alex, um, it's better to do smaller groups, right? Um, if you consider the perfect amount, the utopia amount of teacher talking time, it will be around 20%. 20% for teachers and 80% for students. And when we are planning a lesson, we have to maximize the potential we have to convey a message without having to speak a lot. And as Miriam pointed out, there are two main situations. That's not what she was talking about, but we are going to get there in a second. But there are two main situations where the teacher talking is mostly ineffective. What do you think those are? Where is not
Maybe
really good.
maybe the instructions is better when the students themselves find out what they are supposed to do and read the instructions themselves.
Okay, that's a good example. Anyone else? Okay, no problem. What I think from the research that I have done, running commentary. So the students are trying to do an activity and the teacher keeps talking about everything and nothing at the same time, just to fill in the silence. You know, sometimes the teacher get anxious to keep the conversation going, but the student is trying to concentrate on other things. So running commentary is not the best way for the teacher to use the amount of time they're planning to do. And echoing. What would be the context of echoing in a classroom? Who can give me an example?
Yeah, just repeating what the student just said. Like, uh, I think is the teacher repeating what the student said. Like, oh, very good, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. Thank you, Miriam. You're helping me out a lot today. Anna, thank you for raising your hand. You can speak up.
For example, sometimes my kids try to express themselves, but they express in the main language, Portuguese. I mean, so sometimes I do not correct them or do not start to say those things in English to them to repeat, because I would like them to express a little bit, you know. For example, they are trying to tell me something that for them is really important, and you stay besides that and saying the same thing in English, and it make a kind of break, you know, break the how do I say,
The flow.
Line of thought.
exactly, thank you.
Yeah, the flow, the line of thought. Yeah. So echoing is what Miriam just said. The teacher sometimes think that repeating what the student said for the whole group to understand what they're saying um, starts to become a routine in the classroom. So the student says something, the teacher automatically repeats. So what's the point of doing that? You're just increasing your teacher talking time because the student is more than able to communicate, you know? That's what I mean. But what Anna said is really important as well. So let the students try and talk the way they are able to, and don't interrupt them. Otherwise, they will be disencouraged to try again, right? They're making the effort. They're trying to communicate, and the teacher keeps correcting them all the time. Sometimes it's not the best way to do it. But these two items is what we are trying to cut back a little bit on those routines that sometimes we get so used to doing that we have to start not making those anymore. And imagine a classroom where you have a teacher and 12 students. Think of a 50-minute lesson. How would that work? The amount of time that the teacher is talking while 12 students are talking. What's the best way to keep the entire classroom talking more? How would you do it? Examples. Who can give me examples? Imagine it is a speaking activity.
I think in pairs, groups, small groups.
If you have an activity, a speaking activity, where the teacher is talking and is asking one specific student, is the teacher talking, stops talking, and then hearing the other student, the student speaking. But the other 11 are quiet. They're not practicing. So the teacher should give the instructions, clear instructions, or ask the students to read the instructions in this case, and then ask them to do pair activities, group activities, because while they're doing that, 6 students are talking at the same time while the other 6 are being quiet, and the teacher is always monitoring to see the quality of their work. That's why Miriam mentioned that group work and pair work is very important to maximize student talking time. Of course, we have to consider the pandemic right now. We have to think about social distancing. But I think it's possible to do it as long as they are keeping a safe distance. And simple tips to reduce teacher talking time and promote student talking time. We have elicitation. Do you use a lot of eliciting in your lessons?
Yeah.
Usually your academic advisor asks you to do that a lot, and there is a purpose for that. If you ask the question and students are always answering to you and what they are imagining the situation is going, then the teacher keeps talking less, using body language. Sometimes you don't even have to speak. Body language is okay. Using group work, pair work, wait time technique is very hard for me to be here right now in a online meeting because I cannot see your faces. So I do not know what's the proper amount of time I have to wait for your answers. But while you are in a classroom, you know that sometimes your students are processing what you're saying and they need to think for a little while in order for them to speak. And the teacher needs to be a little less anxious waiting for the answer right away, because then they will produce something. Giving clear instructions so you do not need to keep repeating all the time. And maybe ask a student to clarify something if you have already given the instructions and one student didn't catch it. So we need to keep to develop our questioning skills to encourage dialogue with our learners. But we need to know the right question to ask in an elicitation, for example, for the right task. As this is central to the development of classroom language. So I have here the use of the classroom language, and I'd like to get some feedback from you of examples on where and how you have used this. What language do you use to activate prior knowledge, previous knowledge in your classroom? Now is the time for you to speak. Speak up, please.
Oh, well, that depends. Maybe both. Like Portuguese is welcome, but I will always try to motivate the students to speak in English.
Okay, but think about right now, you have a topic of traveling. What would you say to try and find out what they know about traveling?
Oh, the
What phrase would you use?
Oh.
Anna, you raised your hand. You gave up.
No, nah, yes, I was still thinking, but I would say asking higher questions, right?
Higher order thinking questions. So I have here a simple example. On your own, write down names of cities you would like to travel. This would be prior knowledge of the names of the cities they would know. Or while you're doing a brainstorming activity, you could say anything that comes to your mind when you think of the word travel. Yeah? So what I want from you in this activity is for you to tell me, what would you, as a teacher, say for them to do that? Okay? Hi, Mariani. Nice to see you here.
Hello.
Yeah, we got some other participants here that arrived a little bit later, but it's okay, it's fine. And the purpose of that is to encourage learners to think about what they already know about the topic, right? So that's why we activate prior knowledge. Now, if we consider modeling something for the students to copy or produce, something like that. Can you think of an example that you have done in the classroom that you modeled? I traveled to Germany. This is my example. Now you go. Would it be a possible way for you to do a modeling activity the way that I just said? Yes, no. Thank you, Caroline. Yeah, modeling is just providing an example, right? Because sometimes they are not uh, comfortable with producing something on the spot. So listen to the way I describe something, and then you do it. I create a sentence, and then you do it. And is to listen to accurate language in context. If we are talking about the same lesson about traveling, yeah? Explaining a new concept. Would you try to use the less amount of words to explain something? Maybe even use images to explain it. Or would you do a complex explanation? The more complicated you try to explain something, the more you will talk, the less the students will talk, the less maybe they will understand you. So look at the two paintings and tell something related to that. And it is to teach a subject a specific knowledge. Encourage learners to ask questions. How do we, as teacher, encourage them to ask questions? Who can help me with that? How do you do it?
I would say with an interview activity. For example, I can pretend I'm some public person, and they have to ask me some questions about the subject, something like that.
Yeah, that's a good exercise. And you encourage them to ask questions, but imagine.
Sorry. Sometimes I ask the students to ask each other if what they understand about the subject that we are talking about. So instead of me asking if they have any doubts or something, I ask for them to ask each other and help each other.
Yeah. And the way we are saying here, encouraging students to ask questions is for them to be comfortable with you and try to think, right? So think of 3 questions you would expect someone in an airport to make. Yeah. And deeper thinking and this way. Encourage learners to make associations. We need to imagine that Portuguese is their main language, and it's not something bad for them to compare one language with the other, especially since we have so many uh, great connections in Latin, many words that are similar in English and Portuguese. They can make these associations with one language or the other, but they can make other associations as well as comparing different materials, comparing going to Recife or going to Paris, what the trip would be like. Um, and to collaborate. The example Caroline just gave us, it's a way to collaborate, help each other. And this is also important for us to consider when we are planning the classroom language we have for that day. If we try to use all of those purposes of classroom language, if we plan for it, then it will be a high quality class and a high amount of student talking time. That's what we want to do. We want to maximize it, right? So let's start now with the mock test. Are you ready? You know how it works, right? You have 10 seconds to read the question, and then when I say okay, you can type in your answers and see if you get it right, and maybe we can discuss it. Why one answer and not the other? So look at the teacher's classroom language and 3 possible purpose for this. You have to choose the purpose that matches the teacher language. Who can explain why it is it's useful to classify plants and animals? What's the purpose of that? Okay, you can answer it. Is it A? Really? Everyone thinks it's A? It's not a tricky question? So the teacher in this case, who can explain why, is not giving examples, because you're not going to give examples, and you're not eliciting vocabulary. You're asking them to stop, think about the process, and then answer it. So it is correct. It is higher order thinking. Good job, guys. Number 2. Okay. You can answer it. I like it like that. Some people think it's A. Some people maybe B. Um, this one is a bit tricky. I'd like for the people who chose letter B to explain why you think it's letter B. What gives away, what word you associated with letter B?
Because it says facts, then I thought it was related to content. But I'm not sure.
Okay, it's a good example. Look at these photographs of parts of this ancient civilization and then write down some facts about what you can see. Why cultural awareness? Because it's an ancient civilization? Yeah, possibly. Checking content knowledge or checking cognitive skills. The right answer, it is letter B, because it's not explaining about the ancient civilization, is not talking about cultural awareness, but then asking you for you to write down the facts. What fact can you see? It could be about modern civilization. It doesn't matter if it is ancient or not. This word ancient is for you to think is letter A. That's it. It's just to make you confused. Number 3, look carefully, then tell me if the insides of these two museums are similar or not. This is super easy. You can answer it. Super easy. What word gives away this answer? What made you think is letter A? Yeah, similar or not? Comparing and contrasting. What is that? Exactly this, to see if something is similar or if something is different. Comparing and contrasting. It is letter A. Any questions so far, guys? This is classroom language, what the teacher is speaking, and what is the purpose behind it. This is what you see in the TKT test. All right? Let's speak about the next topic, but I'd like for you to help me. Do you know this game?
Yeah.
Do you play that with your students? I need volunteers. I need a letter for you to help me with this. What letter would you start with? A. We have A. Yay. What else?
S.
S. Ooh.
B.
B as in ball? No B. S, C, letter
E.
C. Good.
E.
E. No, no, no E.
F.
F.
Now you know it.
Scaffolding.
What's the word?
Scaffolding.
Yes, scaffolding. And what is scaffolding? If you're trying to explain to someone who has never heard of scaffolding, what would you say to them?
Help.
Support. Help. Great. Help, support. What else?
It's like to help the students until they can do something alone.
But do I do for the student? Like, am I always trying to do it for them? It is what you just said.
Yes, just give the steps, right?
In order for us to arrive at the top of something, we need, there's no way we can skip and then jump across from it. We need some basic structures, some support from the teacher, or maybe peers. Yeah, the classmates can also be a way of support, but especially the teacher is the one that provides them with that to achieve an objective in the end. And the word progressively is important. And the goal is what Alex just said, independence. We want them to do for themselves, but we need to always try to set achievable goals, small objectives that they will be doing it step by step. And then at the end, you see the amount of things they achieved. Yeah. So it is a metaphor because the word scaffolding exists in constructions. And like physical scaffolding, the supportive strategies are incrementally removed when they are no longer needed. So the teacher is gradually going to shift responsibility for the learning process to the student. So the more mature they are about that specific topic you're trying to teach, then you're going to stop doing the same thing you would do before. Yeah, you're going to learn. And this is Vygotsky theory that we have here what students they can do on their own. We have the zone of proximal development. This is where the teacher would intervene. This is where they would need support to achieve what they absolutely don't know. So it is a process. Thais, you are typing something.
No, I'm not. I just wrote support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is still
Yeah.
typing?
Uh, yeah, it says here it's still typing, but maybe it's a bug here. Uh, what's the opposite of scaffolding a lesson? I love this example. Read this 9-page science article, write a detailed essay on the topic it explores, and turn it in by Wednesday. Is this an example of scaffolding? I believe, yeah, I believe you'd say no. What steps? Let's gather everyone here and let's break it down to achievable things. What would you do first if this is your objective in the end, right? But how would you scaffold this task? Help me out.
I would start exploring vocabulary, maybe.
Yes, it is a science article. Do you think they're going to know every word there to understand it? Would you do this in one lesson? Let's start there.
No, no. And
A 9-page science article. Maybe break it down into fewer pages per lesson. Explore vocabulary. What else? What's the next step? Do you think maybe they know what's an essay? Maybe they don't know how to create an essay. So now, besides working with the article, you'd have to teach them how to create an essay. The structures they would need to write that down. So, working with vocabulary, breaking down into fewer pages for them to understand the science article, and turn it in by Wednesday. Would you change something with that? Turn it in by Wednesday. Would you give more time? Sometimes the only adjustment we'll need to do is give more extra time for them to do it. Yeah, this is a way of scaffolding as well. Okay, so
Or maybe
thank you.
divide in steps, as we were saying. The first step for, I don't know, the first paragraph, for
Yeah,
Wednesday, or the idea or something.
yeah,
Or
and
start writing in the classroom with the group as a whole. So, and what idea can you develop next? You can do it in your house and bring it tomorrow, and then we can keep on doing that.
giving feedback. They need feedback throughout the entire process. They cannot only be given this instruction and not the teacher not follow up with how they're doing it. That's what you said, right, Mariani? And even maybe have an example, right? Modeling. Modeling is a way of scaffolding something. They will need extra support to do something that in my opinion, this is a complex activity to do it, and they cannot do it like by tomorrow. They would have, they'll need to have extra time. So thank you for your contribution, guys. It was really helpful. And imagine I have a listening activity. What would you do first when you have an activity listening? What's the first thing you do when you want to scaffold something?
Talk about the subject they're going to listen to later. I usually
Yeah.
do something like that. See some vocabulary, ask some questions if they know something related about something, and then they listen to it. It helps a lot.
Activate prior knowledge. This is a way to do it. That's perfect, Mariani. That's exactly what I would do if I had a listening activity. I would explore with images, start a discussion on the topic, maybe brainstorm ideas, because when they do the listening, it's going to be easier. Yeah. In a speaking activity, they would have to role play in interaction in the airport. That's the task. That's the speaking task you'd have to do. How would you start?
I usually provide some sentence starters. So they, give them some confidence and they continue adding as they were thinking.
What's the key word Anna just said? Confidence. Imagine being judged. In case of Alex group, 29 other students or 34 other students, they're trying to speak in a foreign language they are not very familiarized with, and they need some type of structure to get them used to and then start doing their own. Yeah, so providing
I
them
also,
with that.
yeah, I'm sorry. I also do something they laugh a lot. They think it's really funny. I do the beginning. Like I pretend I am the student doing it, and then I call a student to help me to be my partner. And then I am about to speak, and then I look at them, help me. And then a student in the classroom helps me, and then I say the sentence, and then another student wants to be a volunteer with me, and then we change. And then everybody wants to take part and say, oh, but I'm tired now. Now it's your turn. Now you do it with a friend. Do it now. I'm too old for that. Now you continue. And then they continue. We make like something like drama, and they really like it. They get
Yeah,
involved. It's so nice when they see I also don't know, and I
yeah,
ask for help, and then I see they know because they can help me. It's nice.
yeah. That's a good way to do it as well. And we always try to to lean in the stronger students, right? Who do we choose when we are trying to model or give an example? We get that student who knows about that topic we are talking about, and then we rely on them to help with the example. Because if we try to do it with a student who is a bit weaker, it's going to just expose them and maybe not be as effective as it would be if you try to choose a stronger student.
Yes, that's very important.
Yeah, it's important. So you are all really into the subject of scaffolding, and you are all great at that. We've seen some examples. Creating interest, breaking down tasks into smaller steps, before, during, and after task support, visual aids and realia, demonstrating, word banks, glossaries, sentence substitution table. So I will travel to, and then you have a gap for them to try and substitute. Using modules and providing constructive feedback. Just saying, good, great, uh, you can do it better, but how? They need to know what they need to do in order to achieve the goal of the activity. So feedback throughout the entire process is how you get the students to understand the process of the learning. Yeah. So you asked me last time that we would try to do an activity using Kahoot. So as students now, you're all my students. Let's get into the website, kahoot.it. And we are going to answer some questions. One moment. If you have the app, you can use it, or you can go to the website. I'm going to copy and paste here the code. Thais, you're the first one. If you can't join us, it's okay. You can participate from the computer and just observe us. We have half the group here.
Can you give me just one more second, please?
Yes. Monica joined us. Carol, great. We are just missing Felicia and Mariani. We are waiting for you, okay?
I'm having some trouble here. I can't. Yeah, it's no. I finally got it.
Yay. Okay, let's start. The subject is going to be scaffolding in the context of maths. Okay, so some questions will be related to that. Others will be related to the theory of scaffolding. You have to be fast, but you have to be right. What does ZPD mean? Only one more person. Okay. So most of you got it right. It is the zone of proximal development, that stage where the student needs the help of the teacher to get to the stage where they don't know the topic. Yeah. So that's ZPD. Alex, you are the fastest. So you are winning so far. Let's see. What is scaffolding? Super easy, right? A form of support for meeting students and children's need. Yeah. And Miriam, you were faster than Alex this time. So you are in the first place. How scaffolding included in mathematics? More than one answer. Hi, Lemming. All of those are possibilities. Football, you could work with mathematics, what? The amount of rules, numbers, in physics, you calculate the distance. You can even work with football, counting and then show, then ask, then repeat, drawing around shapes. All of those are possible. Okay, so Mari, Alex, you got 3 correct answers in a row, but Mari now is the fastest. Why do we use mathematical language? All of them are possible. To help the readiness, to support, to help the child's future readiness as well, and to understand easier. Yeah. So, Monica, streak of 4, but Mari is still there. Which of the following are mathematic activities? Okay, Alex. See you then. See you in March. Dice. The only thing it would not be the best activity would be painting, but rhymes and songs as well, why not? Dice and number lines. They are possible for that. Anna, yay, you got it right. How do interests help support? encourage the children to participate. And yeah, I think I got this one wrong. They can have fun, right? If we try to get them interested in something, that was my bad, guys. The triangle would also be correct, but Mari in the first place. How does do teachers scaffold? More than one answer, right? Mari, hey, hey. Why is it important to record? This is the last one. All of those answers are correct. And let's see who is the winner. Yay, first place is Mari, second place Miriam, third place Anna. Congratulations. Yay.
It's the first time I win one. I'm so happy.
Congratulations. I don't have candy to give you guys, a chocolate, but if I was closer to you guys, I would give a prize, a really amazing prize. So we've discussed scaffolding. Let's go to the next topic because I know you guys already know a lot about scaffolding. I really liked it. But let me open up here the next topic. 1 second. One moment. Can you see methods to help students develop learning strategies? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So we have considered students learn different ways, right? What ways are there to say that a student learns? Sometimes a student learns by movement, right? Some others. Thais.
Depending on the activity, they're more visual. For example, when we're talking about minerals, if we go only over the text, they don't feel interested about it. But when we show the types of rocks, the minerals, the layers, they feel more called to participate. You know, they want to talk about. They think that it's interesting. When it's only related to the text, they don't feel eager to participate. And in some situations, it's better when we play games like this. This year, I had a class where they don't like to learn about geography that much. You know, it was always a challenge. So we play, we construct things. We role play that we were archaeologists, you know, things like this.
Wow.
Because I noticed that when we were only reading the text or doing just the regular activities, they were like dreaming during the class. Yes, completely sleepy.
That's great. But I wanted to know, how do you guys learn? Because you had to study for the debate, right? Today. You had to go through the platform. And I wanted to know, do you learn better by listening, by reading, by writing what you understand? Can you share a little bit with how you usually learn better?
I like to read some books on the platform. I like to use it because they feel inclined to go there, insert the books too. Um, and I like to write topics, because when I write bigger texts, sometimes I miss the informations a little bit. So I like to organize in
Bullet points.
topics. Yes, I love bullet points. I organize in topics the main information, especially because, I don't have the whole time of the world to present to my students. So I feel more organized doing this. And I love visual things like graphic novels. When I have things that I can use graphic knowledge, I use it. I access the platform. I invite them to access the platform because I really, really, I am a visual person.
That's great. Anna, would you like to share?
I'm a visual person as well. And I usually bring the videos about the topic I'm going to teach about. They help me a lot.
Sometimes you're not even just one type of learner, right? Sometimes you like to mix and match because Mariane here is saying by reading and writing. I personally prefer to listen, see, and then I need to register somehow by writing something. Otherwise, it's like I don't really connect with the topic. If I'm not writing, you know for sure that I'm going to forget everything that I just did. Um, wow, Adria, by trying to talk to someone, maybe to compare notes, right? To say, why are you saying you're reviving the entire topic in your mind? That's a great way to do it. So the same way that you have different ways, our students do as well. So we have to try and mix and match all the strategies in order for them to uh, for you to achieve everyone, for you to reach them. So learning strategies is learning the way you learn how to learn, yeah, and we've discussed about some people like memorizing, drawing. I have a friend that she's amazing at drawing things. So when she's in a lecture, she likes to draw things related to what she's seeing. So she's a bit visual. She needs to draw things for that. Underlining keyword. Uh, some people, they have a highlighter and they highlight every single thing in a page. And we may think, wow, what's the point of highlighting everything? For that person works. Yeah. Making association between L1 and the target language. These are ways for us to help our students as well. Um, Metacognition, that's what we have been talking about, preparing and planning for learning. What do you need for you to be in the right state of mind to learn? Do you need quiet? Do you need to listen to songs? Some people, I know I cannot do it. I cannot do two things at once. But I know that some people like to listen to songs while they're studying, while they're reading things, and they concentrate better. For me, it's something out of this world. But for people, some people, they do it. Selecting and using the right strategy, monitoring, learning. So how do you monitor learning? You get to the end of a unit, for instance, and then you try to get back to what you started writing and try to ask yourself questions uh, for you to see if you got that content right or wrong. Do you need to study a little bit more? Integrating strategies and evaluate learning. Evaluate and monitoring are very similar. Monitoring is throughout the steps, throughout the entire process, you monitor them. and evaluate is how well did you learn the entire thing. Yeah. So look at these examples about painting a still life, preparing and planning. So look at the painting by other artists and decide which one will help you in your own work. This is a strategy to prepare the environment. Selecting the strategy. Decide how you're going to paint the setting of still life. Monitoring. As you work on your drawing, stop and think if you should ask your teacher how to improve your work. Do you see? But all those steps are done by the student. Sometimes the teacher needs to intervene. Look at your work and think, how would you describe it? The materials you have used, are there, are there something that you wouldn't know? And the evaluation in the end is make a note of what you like about your finished work and what you'd like to improve. Have you used new ideas? That's the evaluation at the end. Okay? So these steps would help them even with scaffolding. Yeah? Scaffolding is everywhere. Let's go to the mock test about this topic, about how you have this strategy. You have a comment, and then you have an example of a learning strategy. There is one extra option you do not need to use. Asking for feedback is one of them. Risk-taking, wow, that's a learning strategy. Use of L1, in this case Portuguese, or planning stages in a task. This is a learner's comment. I'm gonna give you some time for you to read. Okay, you can answer it. What strategy is related to that comment? Why you think is letter C? What's the word there?
Bilingual dictionary.
Yeah. As it said, bilingual. We need to have an extra help. So use of L1 is the correct answer. Next. Okay. Ooh. I then decided to miss out one part. Is what you guys said. Risk-taking. And the last one. You can answer it. Give each other a few comments first. So, asking for feedback. So these are the strategies used. It's kind of easy, right? This topic is very organic. You would understand it. But let's see the difference between these two words. While I'll have to turn on the light, sorry about that. Try to think, and when I get back to you, I'd like some volunteers to tell me what's the difference, okay? Okay, who can help me with difference between consolidate learning and differentiating learning? What is to consolidate? Agree?
On consolidating, I would say something related to acquisition, some knowledge that you actually acquire, I guess.
Okay, so you acquired the knowledge and you want to establish extra exercise to see if you got everything correct. That's a way of consolidating. Yeah. Thais, would you like to say something? Yes.
I would like to know if it could be like testing, practice, to have an idea about what they learn in the period.
Yeah.
You know, to consolidate, to make solid the knowledge.
Yes. Exactly that. It could be in form of a test, of a practice, peer feedback. But what about differentiating? Why do we need to differentiate something in a classroom? Do we consider that all our students are the same? They learn the same way?
About the process of learning, because some of them more visual, some of them learn listening more, watching videos, things like this. So we have to keep in mind that we have to have this variety of activities in our classes, because what can be a good approach to one student, maybe not an excellent one to another.
Yes, thank you, Thais. Um, differentiate is we have to consider those students who are having difficulties, and then maybe we have to adapt a content or content related to what you're teaching. Yeah. So consolidate is to consolidate and improve their skills. Many learners need to revisit learning again and again by doing a variety of different tasks. Sometimes talking, sometimes writing, sometimes taking a test, doing a presentation. This is how they could consolidate learning, by evaluating a little bit what they have learned so far. And differentiating, we've talked about it. So consolidate, we can monitor, review, do homework, personalize learning, and encourage learner out. And when we have here personalized learning, reviewing, monitoring, and encourage learner autonomy, if I want to deepen understanding, which one of these consolidating learning would I use? Would I use personalized learning to deepen understanding? Monitoring? Reviewing.
Would it be reviewing?
Yes. Reviewing. So deepen understanding. Now, if I have to give opportunities for developing individual interests, which one? Is it personalized? Yeah. Why? Because of individual interests. This is encouraging learner autonomy. So if they have their interests, they'll try to be more autonomous, to make learning more meaningful and memorable. Meaningful and memorable. Now, you see, personalized learning. And the last one, to see where learners may have difficulties. How do we see it? By monitoring. Okay? These are some ways of consolidate learning. And if we wanted to differentiate something, you can modify a task. You can modify the output. The output is what they are producing. Modify the input is what you as a teacher is giving to them. Modifying learning outcomes. Those are the possibilities of differentiating. And if we say to support understanding and to simplify language and provide visual support, how are you differentiating? Modifying. Input. The input, you're going to make it different because they need that simple language, visual support. You're going to change that. Now, if I have support production of content and to facilitate communication of ideas. I want to facilitate communication. What would I do? Would I change the task, the output, or the learning outcomes?
Maybe the learning outcomes.
Actually, it's the output.
It's the output. Yeah.
The outcome, learning outcomes would be what comes out of it. But output, remember, is what the students are producing. The students are producing that. So if I want them to communicate a little bit better, I'm going to modify my output, what they will produce. Let's see the other possibilities for the outcomes, okay? Now, to help learners understand what they have to achieve, what's a new word for achieve?
Okay. This is the outcome.
This is the outcome. To provide evidence of what learners can do and achieve are the same thing, they are outcomes. And the last one is to instructions, enable learners to complete tasks. This is modifying tasks. Let's do a last exercise, the mock exam for these two options there, differentiating and consolidating. We have here different types of differentiation. I'd like for you to match the language. Input, output. But we have for less able students or more able students. Be careful with those. You have time to read. You can answer it. Remember, input is what the teacher is producing, output is what the students are producing. Mariani thinks it's letter D. Could this group please write individual reports on the information you found during your investigation on rainfall patterns? It is letter D. Yeah. So individual reports and the information you found. So you differentiated output. So the students will produce something for more able learners, for students who are stronger. Now, if I have this one. You can answer it. B. Miriam, good one. Letter A. Anna thinks it's A. Let's hear you two out. Why you think it's A, why you think it's B? Who would like to share?
I think because the teacher has provided some kind of help, so it would be the input.
Eu nunca iria comprar porque eu não gosto. Me pediu. Eu trouxe. Três de cada partiu, cadê cada
Caroline said, I've made, right? That's the keyword you think. It is letter A, guys. Why is it input? The student is not doing anything there. Is the student producing something? The student is not producing anything. If you take a look at that, I'd like this group to look, just look at the printouts of the 3-line graphs. Then use cards that I made to help you understand. The teacher helped the students who might not understand the information the teacher himself or herself provided. But I'm not asking students to do or produce anything. Yes, the beauty is in the details. It's very similar one thing from the other. It's just a tiny bit. Let's go do another exercise. The last one. Oh, it's not the last one. I have another one. What's the answer, guys? Hmm. Y now is B.
The students are producing something, and
And
the first five only would be for less able learners.
Yeah. If I'm asking because they don't have the same amount of uh, things to do, I ask them to do just 5 because they will have more difficulty to do that. But then they will do the 5 and then check the answers. They will produce something. So it is letter B. And the last one, you can answer it. I'd like you to predict the meaning of the words. So we will produce something, right? But I removed to make it more difficult. So for more able learners, the output would be different. Okay, it's easier now to see input, output, more able, less able students, and Caroline, uh, sorry, is it input or output? What do you guys think? Is it D, C?
Yeah, I was just thinking about the students predicting, but I got it because the teacher has removed. No, yeah, deleted. So yeah, it's
The
the
teacher
input
deleted
modified. Yeah,
the help.
yeah.
The teacher deleted the help. Now they will have to predict what the words are, right? But they are they going to do something? They're going to predict, but it's something new? No, it's
Not
something from the text.
yeah.
This was a bit confusing, right?
yeah,
Because if
because if you think from the teacher's point of view, it's a differentiated input. But if you think of the students, from the student's point of view, it's a differentiated output.
But the thing is that predict doesn't really mean that they will have to produce something. Maybe I don't know.
yeah, I
Predicting.
agree with you. This
Yeah.
was a bit tricky. I would be in doubt between C or D as well. Um, but yeah, according to Cambridge, is C. So when we have the same question in the test, remember our discussion. Try to remember this, and then you choose the correct answer there. Okay? Thank
Okay.
you all.
Green screen and memorize.
Yeah. So that's so sad, right? That's so sad. Just remember that I took the information from the TKT course, the CLIL module, and from the Cambridge website. That's the book that I got it from. The certificate is here. I'm going to copy the link. Remember to copy the link, not click on it. Otherwise, it won't work. We have seen this many times before. It doesn't work when you click on it. Let me just, sorry, let me copy. 1 second. Let me get the link. I hope you enjoyed our conversation. I hope that you clarified some doubts And it was good for me to hear a little bit from you guys. I love it when you participate. Remember, I'm only going to send it on Monday. If the QR code doesn't work, please, or if the link you copy and paste doesn't work, leave your email here and I'm gonna be sending the link to your email. Other than that, we'll see each other in March in our last meeting. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being with you guys again.
Thank you. It worked well for me.
Thank you.